Morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. It's great to see such a good turnout for the dedication of the Ron Simpson Park. It's great to have members of council here, past Mayor Doug White, members of the Police Service Board, family members of the Simpsons, and friends of Ron Simpson. Everybody that was touched by Ron Simpson, admired him, thought an awful lot about Ron Simpson. So we're glad to be here today to dedicate the Ron Simpson Park. It'll be a name that'll last forever in the town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and it's an opportunity for us to remember all the things that Ron did as a community builder in our town. So Jody is here, and I'll ask Jody to come forward to speak on behalf of the family and say a few words. So thank you, Jody.
All right. Thank you, everyone, first of all, for coming out to honoring Dad. It's the family's very honored that everyone took time out of their day, and it's such a beautiful day. We could have had a nice weather, but you know, we persevere. Dad loved Bradford. He lived here all of his life, and he did everything for the town. He enjoyed working on council, and the coffee shop was his favorite hangout, so he built a lot of buildings. It's nice for me to be able to drive down the road and say, oh, Dad built that house, oh, Dad did that, and, you know, see his name up in places. He loved working with Bradford, and we would just like to thank the town of Bradford for honoring Dad with the park. It's a very nice gesture. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. So as I mentioned, Ron was a community builder. Ron was chair of the facilities committee when the library and leisure center were being built. And Ron had that way of talking to the builders, the developers, anybody, and he would give input. And some of the input would be taken, some maybe not. But he was able to with his knowledge in the building industry, to be able to bring his knowledge to what was happening in Bradford, West Gwillimbury. Ron was also on the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority. When the education center was being built at Tiffin Conservation Area, Ron was quite involved with that. And that is quite a lovely facility. It's being used for weddings as well now, and that's a legacy that Ron will be proud of to be remembered for. As well, Ron was a member of council. He started out as West Gwillimbury Council in 1985, I believe, and when Bradford and West Gwillimbury were amalgamated, Ron was part of that, and that Ron was a go-to guy as far as members of council, to be able to go and ask questions of. He loved to go to the coffee shop and just chat, but he was also well organized. He had files in his office of different reports from years past, and he would be able to find those reports and be able to have the knowledge of what had happened in the past and what was going on in Bradford, West Gwillimbury. So I have asked Councillor Gary Lamb and Councillor Peter Dykey to say a few words, just long-serving council members. So, Gary.
Thank you, Your Worship. Ron and I were elected in 1985 along with Peter. That's a long time ago. Boy, I learned a lot from him. But I knew him before. I knew him from the curling club. I knew him around. And I'm not a coffee shop guy, but every time I went, like 3-4 times a year, he was there. And he used to tell stories. He used to tell me stories about the history. And he told me that, you know, where you guys grew up, up around the 13th line there, he would walk to high school in Lefroy. Can you envision that in them days? Amazing what the old-timers, I guess I have to consider Ron an old-timer. I'm not quite as old as he was, but I'm getting there. But anyway, great guy. And Ron and his daughter, Jody, were the only father-daughter counselors in our community. So the family, and I know lots of the brothers and sisters, and it's really great to see Heather. Just a wonderful guy, but the thing is, he was so forceful in what he'd say, because you know how he spoke. Well, we need to put it right there. That's not right. I think we should do it this way. And it was always that same terse type of thing, but it was always good-hearted. He was a very good-hearted man and very generous to all of us. And I miss him greatly. And I value what friendship that he gave me, and you know, he loaned me a raccoon trap once. You know, it was all kinds of things. He had everything. And you're right about his files and his super test collection. And once I gave him an old spark plug, AC spark plug, you know, the metal signs from the 40s, and he was so pleased with that. The one thing he couldn't get was the super test sign down in the marsh at Hallmar Farms. And today, you can still read the super test because their paint wore off. But anyway, he was a good guy, a collector, and a collector of information, and a collector of friends. And I'm so proud to be here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Peter?
When I pulled in today and I had a good look at this park, and I know I was very fortunate because I was young at the time, 18 turned 19, and Ron was the first counselor from West Gwillimbury to reach out to me. And he, you know, he goes a mentor. You know, he had a lot of life experience, which I had nothing at a young age. But Ron took the time, put me in his Lincoln. He had a Lincoln at the time, and drove me around, gave me a lot of history of the community, which I was still learning in life. And here's a man, I must say, when you look at this park, it was very much detailed. And anything Ron did, any committees he sat on, he was a hard worker and very much to detail. Like all the police station with the bricks, the quality of work. Ron would take the time to look at different projects, look it over, and amazing individual. And I must say I was very fortunate to work with him and to give, because of him, give us knowledge and give that life experience, because Ron was, like I said, a very shrewd man when it came to money, very wise man when it came to money. He always had a watchful eye on the tax dollar. And I look at this car here, and I remember Ron, the first time we had the Santa Claus Parade float, he called me and gave me a ride in a car, which I was very inspired by that car, and I kind of respected the fact that, you know, how you take a car and build it and maintain it and look after it and provide it into a community. So very proud to be here to tell some of the stories, but I know if Ron would look at this park, he'd be sure proud of this park. And you know, it's amazing how life goes on and how our community grew, but you know, we live in a fine community, and because of great people like Ron, we mold our community to move forward.
Thank you, Peter. So I'll ask anybody else in the crowd if they want to come and say a few words, but this is a lovely park. Basketball courts, 2 soccer fields, splash pad, playground area, and it's an area of in Ward 5 that was Ron's ward, and that he would be proud of. So we have members of the Provost Club that are here. Ron was a member of the Provost Club. Ron was a longtime member of the Bradford Lions Club. Ron was a member of car clubs around, antique car clubs, and that he touched everybody whenever he was at a meeting and was able to visit and had good times with the community. So I think anybody else want to say a few words? That we're ready to have the unveiling, and I'll ask Joan and Jody to come forward, and Mike O'Hare, are you here just to give some help here as far as the unveiling of the sign? And members of council, do you want to? Oh, I forgot one person. Scott Davidson is here, our MP. Scott, sorry, yeah.
No, good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I'm here for the day in Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and I thank Mayor and Council for inviting me here today. Just even noticing coming in, all the cars I said to Peter, what's with all the cars? He said, Ron had a big family. So I can see that. And it was very important when I was talking to the mayor and members of council beforehand, all the nice stories. I never knew Ron, but the stories live on, and they explained what a great person he was, and that meant a lot to Bradford, West Gwillimbury. And this is a park where everyone can come and enjoy. So this is what Canada is all about, reaching out and having the memories of great councillors, people that have stepped up to change their communities, and it's really important. And again, just thank you for having me here today to enjoy this event, and thanks to the family. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Scott. Okay. Mike, do you want to help us out here? Rowan and Jody, you want to come forward here and stand in front? And family members, all the Simpsons, come on. Scott, yeah. I'll come on over on this side. Yeah.
That's okay.
We'll just wait for Miriam to get.
We're all good.
No. Just press it halfway down. No, press it all the way there.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so we'll have a countdown. Well, 3, 2,
2,
1. Okay, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Ron Simpson Memorial Park. It's not enough that we do our best. Sometimes we have to do what is required. So where's the church over? Oh. Very nice that Simpson name will be in Bradford forever.
And it stopped raining.
I know!
Great. Yeah.
No, we just need a rainbow.